In this tutorial, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator CC 2020 to go through Classroom in a Book Chapter 8. This is Part 3. It's about using color to enhance signage. And for this element, we're going to go ahead and play with this geodesign element. So go ahead and open that Start To, do a file, Save As. And let's go ahead and do a first initial, last name, underscore, Adobe Illustrator, Chapter 8, Part 2, and Illustrator and save. All right, so for this one, we're going to go ahead and create some different types of look and feel for this white element right here. So let's go ahead and do a selection tool, and let's do Control Plus so we can zoom in on that for us. So what we're going to do is create some segments that we can actually then pour some paint into without having to draw 4 or 5 different kinds of shapes all together. So let's go ahead and make sure we have nothing selected. Let's go ahead to the line segment tool, which is under your rectangle, and let's go ahead and hit D, and it'll go ahead and change the default strokes, and stroke fill for white and stroke is black. So let's go ahead and make some lines. So I'm going to scroll in a little bit more, and let's go ahead and if you hold shift as you do it, let's go ahead and bisect this shape with 4 different lines. So I'm holding shift as I do each one. They don't have to be perfect. All right, so I've got my 4 different sections. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and create a live paint group. So first we're going to do, go to View and go to Outline and grab our selection tool so we can grab everything at once. Oh, undo, drew an extra line. Okay, so let's grab everything at once. So we've created that, and let's go View and Preview and switch back to GPU to make sure we've got everything. We're going to go ahead and edit our toolbar and add our live paint tool. So come down to Edit Toolbar, go about 2/3 down to the paint tools and go grab that live paint bucket and go ahead and drag that in to your toolbar. And let's go ahead and click out, close that. And let's go ahead and grab our fill box. With our fill box, let's go ahead and make sure that we have this purple number 1. And with that purple number 1, we're going to go ahead and create some live paint areas. So we're going to go ahead and convert this one. Let's hit escape and get out of there. And you're going to see we get some colors and we get an option to make a live paint group. So let's go ahead and click in this first section here to make a live paint group. I don't love that color, so I'm going to undo. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my next purple. So let's do that. Let's go over and switch over to one more purple over here and make that same purple straight across. And let's make that other purple right here. So now I've got 4 different colors of purple to create my shape. So it's relatively easy to do that without having to do a lot of extra work. So next thing we want to do is go ahead and change the color of those strokes. So we want those colors to be no strokes. So the easiest way to do that is to go into our double click our paint bucket, and let's go ahead and we want to just do painting the strokes, and we're going to say OK. Now on the stroke color, we're going to go ahead and say we want it to be none. And let's go ahead and go over here. And if we go over top of those paths, we'll go ahead and take those strokes out for us. So it's a relatively easy, and if you just taken it without doing it that way, you might end up with a weird white line in between. So let's go ahead and close our swatches group, do a deselect, and do a Control S and save. So now we have created a very simple shape without having to do a whole lot of extra work. So let's go ahead and do a View, and let's do a Fit Artboard and Window, and let's double click our paintbrush tool, make sure we turn our fills back on again and say OK. Let's grab our selection tool and click on our purple, and we're going to go ahead and make that into a live paint bucket group. So let's go to Object, and we'll go to Live Paint and Make. And let's go shift click and grab that purple line as well. So we can grab that as a second part of our paint bucket group. So Object, Live Paint, and Merge. So now we've got 2 different groups that we're going to go ahead and create with. So let's go to our fill color box. Let's go to our fill color, make it white. Oh, undo. All right, so let's go ahead with our select our live paint bucket. So we're going to go ahead and say, what do you want to make? So I want to go ahead and make this bottom section right here. Let's make it white. So I'll go ahead and come here to white and escape and come down here, and I can go ahead and pour that white into just that section. So the really cool part is that these live paint sections are live, so you can actually change the shape of them and do other things. So let's grab our selection tool, and let's go ahead and double click to go into the isolation mode. And let's go ahead and grab our direct selection tool and grab that path on the purple line, and let's go ahead and drag it up and reshape it. So it's actually reshaping the paint area altogether. So we go ahead and hit escape, get out of there. I don't necessarily love that. Let's go ahead and double click, put it back, go back into that isolation mode. Oh, in selection. Okay, selection tool, direct selection. Go ahead and grab that and move it down so we're not right up, undo. Grab that guy. Move him down so we're not in the middle of our words. Make sure we get our line to go over. All right, and escape. And so see how easy it was in order to just create those different sections without having to create a whole bunch of different additional shapes. So it's relatively easy once you get the live shapes. The trick is making sure you are using either the stroke or the fills. If you have the wrong one, you will spend a long time trying to fix it and it won't work. Let's go ahead and let's real quick change this one to the fill. Let's make it purple. Let's grab our live paint tool and let's go ahead with our fill, make it kind of that light purple so it kind of looks like it is within. Escape, and we want to paint that section right there. So I like that. That's much better. Makes it kind of look see-through. All right, so I'm at deselect, do a Control S and save. I'm going to go ahead and do a file and package. Go ahead and make sure it's in my lesson 8 folder, part 2, and a PKG for that one, and say package. Show my package, and it should have in my folder for lesson 8, I should have 2 package files that I'm then going to go ahead and zip. So I could compress both of those together. So right click and then send to compressed file. So you don't have to turn in 2 different things. So that's what you're going to go ahead and turn in, is that lesson 2 zipped folder. So I hope you learned something new in this tutorial.